The abbey sleeps beneath a rising sun, but silence can only hide the truth for so long. Every wall remembers, every whisper lingers, and the morning mist curls across the open fields like a ghost that refuses to fade. Dew clings to the grass, and the first light of dawn stretches its golden fingers toward the towering silhouette of Downton Abbey. The mansion stands as proud and lonely as ever, a monument to history, to love, and to loss. The sound of a single church bell echoes in the distance, soft but certain, marking the beginning of another day. Or perhaps the return of an old story. A gentle wind moves through the iron gates. They creak open, slow and heavy, as if time itself hesitates to enter. The camera glides past the gravel driveway, where faded carriage tracks still mark the earth. Somewhere, faintly, we hear laughter, echoes from another era. Lady Mary's quiet voice, the dowager's sharp wit, the servants' hurried footsteps. But the hallways that once buzzed with life now lie still, wrapped in a thick, watchful silence. Inside, dust dances in the air, as sunlight seeps through stained glass windows. The grand staircase, the same one that carried brides, secrets, and heartbreaks, waits in shadow. A portrait of Lord Grantham stares down the corridor, his painted eyes calm but knowing, like he too senses the winds of change approaching once again. A close-up on a single candle, burning low on a marble table. The flame flickers. Somewhere deep within the abbey, the old bellboard flickers to life. A single light, glowing red. The servant's bell, unanswered for years, now rings again. Its sharp chime cuts through the still air like a heartbeat returning to life. The music swells softly, strings and piano. The narrator's voice returns, low and full of memory. They said time would wash away what Downton once was, that the laughter would fade and the echoes would rest. But some places, hold on, some homes never forget those who walked their halls. Outside, a carriage wheel turns slowly across the gravel. The camera doesn't show who's inside, only the gloved hand of a returning guest pressing against the window. A gold ring glinting in the morning light. The abbey looms larger, the sun climbing higher, its light reflecting off the windows like fire. The birds scatter, the wind rises, and as the music swells to a haunting crescendo, the narrator whispers the final line of the section. Downton Abbey awakens. The screen fades to black. The faint outline of the abbey remains, glowing in the mist. A past is walking. The sun climbs higher over the estate, its light spilling through tall, arched windows that once watched over generations come and go. Dust motes drift in the air like memories that refuse to settle. Every step through the great hall carries the soft echo of what used to be. The rush of servants at dawn, the laughter of guests at dinner, the whispers of secrets never told aloud. The camera glides slowly through the rooms. The drawing room sits untouched, chairs lined perfectly, a chessboard mid-game, one move away from checkmate. The clock on the mantel ticks steadily, its rhythm the only sound brave enough to disturb the silence. It has ticked through wars, weddings, and tears, and yet somehow, it still keeps time for Downton. In the servants' quarters below, cobwebs cling to the ceiling. The old bellboard hangs on the wall, the brass labels still shining faintly. Lady Mary's room, the library, the dining hall. For years, none of these bells have rung, until now. The faintest glow appears beside one of them. The light flickers once, twice, alive again. Time does not forget, it only waits, the narrator says softly. It watches, it listens, it remembers those who once gave it purpose. The camera pans to the family portraits in the gallery. Their painted eyes seem to follow the light, gazing down at a world that has changed beyond recognition. A piano sits in the corner, its cover thick with dust. A single key is pressed, no hand in sight, and a lonely note fills the room. The melody fades quickly like a sigh. Outside, the gardens have grown wild. Roses bloom over broken stone, vines twist up the walls. Nature has started to claim what time has left behind. But the abbey still stands strong, proud against the passing of seasons. A crow lands on the fountain, cawing sharply, breaking the quiet. The sound fades into the distance, replaced by a deep rising hum of orchestral strings. A door creaks open. Somewhere, unseen, footsteps echo through the main corridor. Slow, deliberate, cautious. The floorboards groan beneath the weight of something returning. Or perhaps something never gone. For years, the world outside moved on, the narrator whispers. But here, within these walls, the clock has been waiting for the ones who left, to come home. The wind rises, swirling through the open doorway. Curtains dance in the air, light flickering across the marble floors like ripples of gold. And then, just as the music swells, the screen fades to black, leaving only the faint sound of ticking. Tick, 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 a pause. Then the narrator concludes, their voice low and haunting. At Downton Abbey, time never passes. It simply holds its breath. Back through the doors of Downton, the old world breathes again. Light spills through tall windows and dances across polished marble floors that haven't seen footsteps in years. The Abbey, once asleep, begins to stir. Doors creak open, curtains draw back, and the soft hum of life returns like a long-lost melody. A carriage rolls up the gravel path, its wheels crunching over the stones. A young woman steps out. Her gloved hand hesitates on the door frame before touching the cool air of Downton once more. She is not a stranger, though her face is new. The camera never shows her eyes. Only fragments. The curl of her hair, the edge of a family crest on her ring, the faint reflection of the Abbey in the carriage window. Inside, the house seems to recognize her. The chandeliers flicker as though greeting an old friend. A maid opens the grand door, dusting off her apron in surprise. "We thought no one would ever come back," she whispers. The young woman steps inside. Her heels echo through the main hall. A sound so simple, yet it fills the space with meaning. The portraits along the walls seem to lean closer, their painted faces half hidden by shadow. The camera pans across them. Lady Mary, stoic and graceful. Tom Branson beside her, his expression proud yet distant. The Dowager Countess immortalized in oil and gold, her eyes still sharp even from the canvas. A soft piano tune begins, the same melody once played during long Sunday afternoons. The narrator's voice returns gentle and reflective. Time has taken much, yet some legacies do not fade. They pass quietly from one heart to the next, unseen but deeply felt. Cut to the garden. Children's laughter floats through the air. The camera shows small hands brushing through tall grass, a paper boat floating across the pond, and a young boy chasing butterflies under the old oak tree. A woman's voice calls in the distance, calm, warm, and achingly familiar. The scene shifts to the library, sunlight dusting the shelves. The new heir, perhaps grown under modern skies, runs a hand along the old leather spines of books his ancestors once read. The sound of the clock continues, no longer haunting, but steady, hopeful. For every ending, the narrator says softly, there is someone brave enough to begin again. The camera cuts to a close-up. The young woman stands before the grand staircase. She looks up, her face unseen, but the light catches on her locket, engraved with a single word, Crawley. The music swells, strings and piano blending into the familiar Downton theme. The servants move through the hall again, the kitchen hums with life, and for the first time in years, the Abbey feels like home. New hands, new dreams, but the same heartbeat echoes through these halls. The camera drifts upward, the Abbey glowing golden under the afternoon sun. Birds rise into the sky, and the screen fades to black. A single line appears in silence. The story continues. The sky begins to change. Clouds roll in over the Abbey, heavy and gray, as if the heavens themselves remember what lies buried within these walls. The wind picks up, rattling the windows. Curtains tremble. A storm is whispering its way back to Downton. In the dining hall, the long table gleams under the golden light of the chandelier. Every silver fork, every glass of wine, sits perfectly in place. Too perfect, too still. Then the door opens. Footsteps echo. A dozen eyes rise, and silence stretches like a knife. The family is together again, but their smiles do not meet their eyes. Peace, the narrator says slowly, is the most fragile thing a family can possess. The camera glides past the faces. Lady Mary at the head of the table, her poise unbroken, but her gaze distant. Tom Branson beside her, firm yet uneasy. Across from them, a newcomer. Young, confident, and clearly not one of them. Their fork clinks against the plate, loud in the stillness. The servants exchange nervous glances. A newspaper slides across the table. The headline reads, "The Crawley estate to face modern changes." The sound of thunder rolls outside. The world beyond these gates no longer waits for Downton, the narrator continues, and within, the old and the new begin their quiet war. Cut to the servants' quarters. Whispers fill the air. "They'll sell it off piece by piece," one says. "No," another insists. "Downton always survives." Their voices fade into the clatter of rain against the glass. Lightning flashes. We see quick glimpses. A letter torn in half. A door slammed shut. A portrait falling from the wall. A single candle blown out by the wind. The music builds, tense and pulsing, strings rising like a heartbeat. In the library, Lady Mary stands before the fireplace. Rain pours over the courtyard, washing over the stone steps like tears. Lightning strikes behind the abbey. The entire house glows for a moment, then falls back into darkness. Even in beauty, the narrator says quietly, there are storms no one can see. And some storms begin at home. The sound fades. Only the ticking clock remains. Slow, haunting, relentless. The final image. A candle reignites in the window. A single light burning against the storm. Then fade to black. Every legacy must be tested. Approx. 2,500 characters. Emotional narration plus calm visual flow. The rain slows, one drop at a time. Morning light pushes through the heavy clouds, painting the wet stone of the abbey in gold. The air feels still again, but not the same. Softer, wiser, as if Downton has survived another storm it was never meant to face. Smoke curls from the chimney once more. The old house exhales. Inside, the fireplaces glow with quiet warmth, their flames licking at the shadows that had crept into every corner. The servants move slowly, cleaning, restoring, resetting the rhythm of life. The sound of footsteps, the clatter of silver, the soft rustle of fresh linens, each sound a note in the song of return. The camera glides through the main hall. Portraits hang proudly again. Their faces seem brighter in the light. A new vase of white roses sits beneath the grand staircase, a silent offering to all that was lost and all that still endures. Every house holds its breath during the storm, the narrator says softly, but the brave ones find a way to breathe again. Lady Mary stands at the window, gazing out at the fields bathed in sunlight. Her reflection shimmers against the glass. Older now, stronger but gentler too. Behind her, Tom Branson joins her quietly. No words are spoken. They simply watch as the world begins again outside their home. Cut to the kitchen. Laughter, warm and real. The servants share tea as Mrs. Patmore hums an old tune. The camera lingers on small things. A spoon stirring sugar. A letter sealed with wax. A child's laughter drifting from the corridor. Life has returned. Not in thunder or glory, but in whispers of peace. The walls remember every storm, the narrator continues, but they also remember every sunrise. Outside, the garden is blooming again. The fountain sparkles under the daylight, the water clear and alive. A small bird lands on its edge, dipping its wings before flying toward the open sky. The sound of a piano begins, gentle and familiar, the same melody from long ago, now slower, sadder, but beautiful in its maturity. We see the new generation walking down the steps of the abbey, a mother's hand guiding her child. The boy stops for a moment, turning back toward the house, his eyes wide with wonder. The camera moves closer. The reflection of Downton fills his gaze. Some homes don't just stand through time, the narrator whispers. They wait, patiently, lovingly, for those who will return. The music swells softly. The camera rises above the abbey, showing the fields stretching endlessly into the horizon. The clouds part completely now, sunlight spilling across the land like a blessing. Then, silence. The final image. The abbey at dusk, its windows glowing warmly against the fading light. Downton Abbey, the narrator says, his voice filled with quiet pride. Where every ending becomes a beginning, fade to black. The promise fulfilled, the legacy renewed. The world has quieted. Only the sound of wind hums through the trees and across the stone towers of the abbey. The storm has passed. The air feels lighter, the sky reborn. The last raindrop slides from the edge of a window pane and falls into the earth below. A soft, final echo of everything that came before. The camera drifts upward, gliding through the great hall one last time. The chandeliers shimmer faintly, their crystals catching the sunlight like tears turned to diamonds. The piano melody fades into a single lingering note. Every room breathes in silence. The library, the servants' hall, the dining room, each corner alive again, but calm. Then, slowly, the great clock chimes. 1, 2, 3. Each strike ripples through the house like a heartbeat. Time, the narrator murmurs, has never truly left Downton. It only waited for the right moment to speak again. The doors of the abbey open wide. A golden breeze sweeps through, scattering rose petals across the marble floor. The camera rises toward the staircase, the same one that carried generations up and down its steps. Light floods in, wrapping every wall, every picture frame, every memory. Lady Mary's silhouette stands at the top of the stairs, still and graceful. The camera never shows her face, only her outline against the sun. For a moment she turns, and in her shadow the figures of those who came before her seem to flicker. The Dowager Countess, Lord Grantham, Sybil, Matthew, ghosts of the past watching over the present. They built more than a home, the narrator continues softly. They built a legacy that no storm could ever wash away. The music swells, violins, piano, and a distant choir. The abbey glows brighter, its towers shining like gold beneath the morning light. Then, silence. From the mist, golden letters begin to appear, one by one, each stroke slow, deliberate, like a hand etching memory into time itself. WNTONABBEY, the theme rises. Rich, familiar, timeless. A breath later, a line fades in beneath it, glowing faintly in the air. Season 7, 2026. The choir swells higher, echoing through the empty hallways, up the staircases, across the fields beyond the gates. The sound is grand but gentle, the sound of return, of remembrance, of rebirth. The final image. The abbey stands beneath a blazing sunrise. The camera pulls back, higher and higher, until the house becomes a small speck in the endless countryside. But its light still shines, even from afar. Downton Abbey, the narrator whispers, the final words carried by the wind. Forever waiting, forever home. Fade to black, soft orchestral chord. End. Silence returns, but it is not empty. It's the kind of silence that holds memory. Soft, deep, alive. The golden fields stretch endlessly beyond the abbey, glowing under the gentle warmth of the setting sun. The sky fades from amber to rose, from rose to dusk. The day ends, but the feeling remains. The camera drifts through the corridors once more. Every shadow has softened. Every room carries a whisper of laughter, of footsteps, of love. A single candle burns on the grand dining table. One light, steady and unwavering. The camera moves closer to its flame, and the faint crackle becomes the heartbeat of the house. Every story must rest, the narrator says softly. But not every story ends. Cut to the gardens, now bathed in twilight. The statues shimmer in silver light. The fountain ripples quietly, and the distant sound of children's laughter drifts across the lawn. It's faint, like a memory half remembered, but it's there. Life continues. The old clock in the main hall ticks once more, its hands moving toward a new hour. Time flows again, not haunting, but kind. Generations rise and fall, the narrator continues, yet the soul of Downton remains, stitched into every brick, every wall, every dream. The camera glides past portraits of the Crawley family, each face illuminated by candlelight. Lady Mary, Tom Branson, the Dowager, Lord Grantham. For the briefest second, their reflections flicker in the glass. Not as ghosts, but as memories smiling back. The piano returns. The theme now played slower, softer, almost like a lullaby. The narrator's tone lowers to a whisper, filled with warmth and finality. Perhaps that is Downton's greatest secret. It never belonged to a single time or a single name. It belongs to every heart that remembers what it means to come home. The camera rises one last time, floating above the Abbey as the lights inside begin to glow. One window, then another, until the whole estate shines against the darkness. The music swells, the choir hums quietly, and the title fades back in, glowing faintly like embers in the night. Downton Abbey, Season 7, 2026. The screen begins to fade, but before it disappears entirely, the narrator leaves one final line, the heartbeat of it all. The doors of Downton never close. They simply wait for you to return. The candle flame flickers, the clock chimes once. Fade to black. Soft orchestral note. End.